welcome back to another video. Woo! So today is going to be about the interview for nursing school. So basically I went through the interview twice because the first time I interviewed I got rejected, and I talked about it in another video if you want to check that out. So basically it just didn't go good. I didn't plan ahead. I basically just practiced the night before, and it just proved to be like the worst mistake ever. And I ended up getting rejected, and the next interview came along and I finally got accepted. So I thought I should make a video on tips, because a lot of videos that I researched in order to get tips and advice, they really didn't give me examples, and I just want to make a video that just gives you questions that could be possibly asked and just answers to them. Well, it's gonna be like my examples that I'm gonna use, and y'all can like take them, I don't care, use them, tweak them, whatever you like, but these are the answers that helped me get through my interview. Okay, so before I start these questions, I just want to let y'all know that if your school has a Facebook page, like my school has a Pre-Nursing Association Facebook group, and basically a lot of people who have gone through the interview have posted on that group like questions that were asked or just overall tips. So I basically went through the whole Facebook page. I just searched interview questions and I wrote down all the questions that people got asked, and I practiced those. And guess what? When I went through the interview, all the questions, both of my interviews, but all the questions that I practiced were pretty much on there. So just a heads up, so if y'all's school has a Facebook page, definitely take advantage of it, because it definitely helped me to practice and get ready for a successful interview. Alright, so let's get started with these questions. I wrote down all of my questions in a notebook. Y'all can do that too. It just made my little interview practice a little bit fun. I don't know why. I just like writing things down, but let's get started. So let me find the first question for us so we can answer it. Let me see. Okay, this one's not that hard. It's basically just like, you could just use any hobby that you have and use it for this question. So it says, what is something you do to relieve stress? Okay, for me, an example would be, one way I relieve stress is by lifting weights. Like, I don't completely understand why I enjoy it so much. I know it's just lifting heavy things after all, but in the end, it makes me feel stronger and more confident. And the mentality that I get from the gym, I apply to things outside of the gym as well. For example, schoolwork. If I feel like I can't achieve a certain assignment, I just remember how powerful I really am, and it gets me through the hurdles of schoolwork. And by just using that mentality, I've gotten through so much stress in my life, and I feel that this trait will help me become the best nurse that I can be. Okay, the next question is, what does courage mean to you? So for this question, if y'all been through some stuff, y'all know exactly what courage is. Courage is getting to know your own strength. It's knowing that there's fear, but there's something more important to you than being afraid. So you hold your head up high and you start doing things that you've never done before. And you're aware that things will go absolutely wrong. However, you take that risk and you start having the courage to just do things out of your comfort zone that you've never done before. To me, that is what courage is all about. Alright, y'all. Question number 3. How do you manage time? So this question shouldn't be hard at all. If you're in school and you know the way you study and how you prioritize your time, then you know exactly how to answer this question. So for me, the way I prioritize my time is usually by making the most important tasks first that have a very close upcoming deadline and make those my priority. Once I'm finished with those, I go on to things that aren't so close on their due date. And that has always been the way that I prioritize my time. Another way that I have been prioritizing my time is by playing a little game with myself. I set a time for each assignment. For example, I set 30 minutes for one assignment, and if I'm done in 20 minutes, then I use the remaining 10 minutes to take a short break. And that strategy has just made completing assignments a lot easier and helped me manage my time. Okay, so this next question that I'm about to ask y'all is kind of hard because when I first saw this question, I was like, how do I even answer this? So, without further ado, here's the question. What would you do if you caught a friend cheating? You see what I'm talking about? That is so hard to answer, but luckily, y'all got me to help y'all get through this question. Alright, so the way I would answer this question is by saying that I would talk to my friend about how disastrous their choice is in cheating, and that eventually down the line, if not then probably later on, they will end up failing somewhere else. I want them to know that someone saw potential in them to get them into this program, and it's up to them to get through school with integrity. I would also offer 100% to study with my friend, and if they ignore my suggestions, then I would have to go to the professor. Alright, so after getting done with that very hard question, I feel that the answer that I gave is a pretty good answer without showing that you would literally just rat out your friend, because this question is very based on morals, and I know a lot of people will say that, you know, they've studied so hard for someone else to just get by cheating, but you know, sometimes you just have to talk to your friend. Like, sometimes we don't see that they're struggling, and you know, it's up to us to, like, we're all human, we make mistakes, to just help each other. And yeah, but cheating is like a huge no. Like, if you're gonna cheat, why be in this program? So yeah, guys, so let's move on to an easier question. Okay, so this question is pretty easy. It's, what is your favorite prerequisite and why? So this is not a hard question. Whatever class you enjoyed the most in college, just talk about it. For example, for me, it would have to be Introduction to Psychology. The reason I love this class is because of how the professor taught her class. It wasn't just based on PowerPoint. A lot of it was videos and visual images, and we would just have discussions about the video and the images, and it just made going to class a lot more fun, and I was able to retain all of the information super easy. And at the end of class, our teacher would always ask our input on how to improve the class, and I just love that she gave us that opportunity, and that is just why I loved Introduction to Psychology. Alright, y'all, so back to a harder question, and it has to do with cheating again. So this question is, what would you do if a professor caught you cheating? So this time the tables have turned, and you're the one getting caught cheating. So how do you answer that question? Alright, so let me give you my example. So I would confess to my professor and try to explain my actions, even though I know it doesn't undo the cheating, and I would just accept any consequences that are given to me. I know that being a student can be overwhelming, especially when we're given so much work and stuff to retain. However, it's better to just accept the failure than to put your academic career on the line. Again, it's up to us to get through school with honesty and not cheat. So the next question is, who is your role model and why? So for this, I feel like you can use like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your neighbor, just anybody who has shaped you into a better person overall. So for me, I picked my mom. I said that I just love the way my mom shows such compassion, just has such a big heart for everyone around her. She's always giving and making sure that everyone has what they need except for her. If I or anyone needs absolutely anything, she's the first person to jump up and down and try to see what she can do for them. You know, through her, I learned what it means to go out into the community and just serve others. You know, with her lessons and teachings, I know that I'm going to be an amazing nurse to everyone around me. Alright, so next question is something that will probably 99.99% of the time come up in your interview, which is, why do you want to be a nurse? This should not be a hard question. Like, why are you sitting at this table in front of this panel of interviewers? Just let them know why you want to be a nurse and why you're so passionate about it. Also, I want to apologize if I sound a little weird. I am currently dealing with allergies again. We had a crazy dust storm because I'm from West Texas and those things happen here and it was just crazy. So yeah, back to the question. Sorry, I got a little off track. So the reason I chose to be a nurse was because of an experience I had during my senior year of high school. I decided to take a class called Clinical Rotations, where we would go to a hospital and just shadow nurses, doctors, CNAs, or anyone who would just let us see and learn from them. And we would be rotating throughout different departments of the hospital, and one day it was actually my turn to shadow in the operating room. And I thought that, you know, the first days they were just gonna like put me by the desk and just talk to a nurse. I had absolutely no idea that the first day they were gonna put me in the room where like all the action was taking place. You know, I thought I was gonna be in a room looking down at the surgery, but no, I was all up in the action. And so, you know, I remember being like on this corner because I was so scared. Like, I didn't know what to do until a nurse actually came up to me and he was like, hey, I'm gonna explain everything that's going on in this operating room and I'm just gonna take you under my wing. So I was like, cool. And so he just talked about his role in the operating room and everyone else's, and I just fell in love with the way he talked about his profession. He told me that everyone is working together as a group to make sure the patient has the best experience while at this hospital. And I got to hear him talk about his profession for 2 weeks, and you know, every time he would describe anything, he would say with such passion, and I fell in love with that profession as well. You know, I could definitely see myself doing what he's doing and changing people's lives and just being there for other people. And I just can't wait to start my career and, you know, become a nurse. So yeah, let's do this. Yeah, I absolutely love answering this question because for a long time, personally, I didn't know that I wanted to be a nurse until, you know, like I said, my senior year. I thought that I wanted to be a cop for like the longest, but guys, over time, your like for something will change and you'll finally realize what you love. It might take more for others and like lesser for others, but it's okay. We'll all go down the same path and we'll find what we are meant to be. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little excited. I just love talking about nursing and all this cool stuff. So yeah, guys, let's go to the next question. Okay, next question, y'all. How do you feel about communication? So, this question is not hard. I'm trying to help y'all realize that answering these questions should not be hard. Just use your own experiences and just apply it to these questions. So, for me, I've had a lot of situations when I had to deal with communication. And some of the experiences were kind of hard because, communication isn't just verbal. It's so many other things. So let me get started with this question. So for me, communication has to be the most important thing that has to do with the medical profession. I personally worked as a psychiatric nurse aide, and one patient we had that was new, he was actually deaf and mute. So he couldn't hear and he couldn't speak. And no one on our floor knew sign language, and we couldn't get an interpreter to come because it was a weekend. So I saw how this guy was just looking so scared because, there's so many things going on around him and he had no idea what was going on. So, I decided to just write things down on a notebook because communication can be verbal, it can be written, it can be physical, it can be so many things. And so I wrote down all of these things that he needed to know, and it actually worked, y'all. He started writing things back down, and he gave me the notebook, and I was able to show the charge nurse, and we were able to get him everything that he needed. And just seeing his whole attitude just flip around and just knowing what was going on was amazing. It is so important to communicate, especially if we're trying to get vital information from the patient to the health care professionals or vice versa. Communication will always be important, and it's one of the most essential things in becoming a nurse. Okay, next question is, what is one mistake you have made and what did you learn from it? So this question, I like to use, examples that have happened to me during school, working in a group or, at work. And this example is going to have to do with an internship I had. So one mistake that I made was while working at an internship in the summer, I was in charge of being at the front desk and just helping people who came in and translating for them because no one knew Spanish but me. So I was in charge of that, and I was also in charge of putting together this project on a particular day. I started to realize that I was coming down to my last 2 hours, and this project was 75% done, and I still had to do a good amount of work on it. And so I realized my mistake in how I wasn't able to manage my time properly, and I was able to go to my team members and just explain to them my situation and how I wasn't able to complete my part of the project, and they were able to help me, and we were actually able to complete the project on time. This situation was a pretty valuable lesson on time management and just learning how to map out my schedule. And since then, I've been pretty good at just managing my time. Alright, so the next question is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Okay, so one of my strengths is actually being a great leader when it comes to smaller groups. I make sure that I don't overstep my position in the group and make sure that everyone's input is put into account. And I feel like that is an important strength to have, especially when going into the medical field, because we will always be working in groups, and just having that trait will make me become a better nurse. And for my weakness would probably have to be my confidence in the classroom. I used to be very unconfident when it came to larger classroom settings. I would wait until the end of class to ask my question because I felt that I just didn't have the confidence to just speak up in class. But towards the end, I started to sit more in the front of the class where I could have a personal connection with the instructor. And by the end of the year, I was able to ask all the questions I needed. So for this question, when it comes to answering your weakness, I feel like you should state your weakness but reverse it in a positive way. Like, how did you get over that weakness, you know? So yeah, that's another tip for y'all. Okay, so the next question is, how would you communicate with a patient if you found yourself in a certain situation that would describe a problematic situation? Okay, so for me, working as a psychiatric nurse aide, I was presented with many problematic situations when it came to dealing with problems that patients had. So one of my patients was a schizophrenic woman. She actually came up to me because she was afraid of going into her room because she would see a dark figure at the edge of her bed. And I feel with this situation, I have to be genuine and accepting and just make sure that I understood what she was going through and believed her 100%. And I just let her know that we're going to get through this together and I'm going to make sure that we get this problem solved. So I went to the charge nurse and I explained to her we could change her room to see if that would make the figure go away. And so we were able to change her room, and by the end of the day, she was going in and out of her room, you know, no problems at all. So, you know, dealing with problematic situations will always be a part of the nursing profession. And for me, it's just something that I feel that I can handle. Okay, next question is, what is something about you that we wouldn't know from your application? Okay, for me, this question, if you're asked this question, make sure that your interviewers feel how passionate you are about going into this program. I feel like this question, out of all the questions, has to be the most important because it's basically asking what's not on your resume that we should know and would put you into this program. So I got asked this question at my last interview that accepted me to the program. So let me tell you exactly what I said. I said that for me, I never thought that I would get the opportunity to go to college, let alone be in the position that I am right now. So looking back, I never thought that this would be an option. Being granted this opportunity to be here just adds fuel to the fire. I could already see myself walking through these halls, sitting in lecture, going to clinicals, making friends, and just staying up past hours studying. Not to mention the impact that I know that I can have on this school. Saying no to me today will not hinder nor change my dreams of becoming a nurse. It'll just motivate me to try 1,000,000,000 times harder because I truly don't see a better school for me. So that's basically what I said. And when I said that, y'all, I felt so good. Like, I felt like, Jesus, if y'all don't accept me now, then what the heck are y'all doing? Like, I felt in my bones that I was meant to be at that school. Like, I felt inspired myself. Because, guys, let me tell y'all, I come from a first generation college student family. None of us have gone to college. My parents never even finished elementary school. And to just be here right now feels so good. Like, I've been waiting so long just to have this chance to just advance myself as a person and my career. And now that it's finally happened, it's amazing. And I want y'all to have the opportunities that have been given to me, because I want everyone to feel what I was feeling when I got my acceptance letter. And I know if y'all put in the work, if y'all practice every single day, if y'all want it more than anything, y'all are gonna get in no matter what. So yeah, guys, I'm sorry about that little rant, but it's just something that I feel that can be attained by anyone if they just try. Okay, so let me just get to the next question, because I could just talk about passions and all this for like hours. So, okay, so what is your biggest regret? So for me, my biggest regret would have to be not taking dual credit in high school. I feel like dual credit is super important, especially if you want to just get a head start in college. For me, I felt like I would see my former classmates from high school who did take dual credit, that they were already almost finishing college when they entered just a year into it. And I felt like I needed to speed up my timeline. And, you know, at the end of the day, I just learned that it's better to just go at your own pace and follow your own path in life, because eventually I know that I'm going to get to the point that I want to be at. Alright, so here goes the last question. It's, what do you think accountability and honesty have to do with nursing? I actually wrote down this question and answered it, so I'm just going to read it off. I think accountability and honesty are central to the nursing profession. I say that because, for instance, if a mistake is made at work, it's the nurse's job to accept responsibility for those actions, which is where accountability comes in. It also demands that we be honest and forthcoming when an error is made. So basically, tell the truth and own up to it. Basically what it means and how to answer that. For the last bit of my video, I'm going to give y'all the questions I asked at the end of my interview. And let me tell y'all, it's so important that y'all ask questions, because it just shows how, you know, passionate and how much you want to be in their program, because, you know, they see that as like, you know, this person is actually really interested in our program, and like they did their research and had the time to just ask us questions. And also, I want to say that y'all should definitely read up on your school's mission, vision, and values. You will find this on your school's webpage. Just look for it. It'll be there. And it just talks a little bit about the school and what they look for in just students. So, yeah, definitely look that up. So, let me get started with these questions that I asked. Okay, so I asked like around 6 questions. I would say at least have 4 questions to ask them. You know, the least would be 3, but like if you could ask like a good amount of questions, then go for it. Okay, so my first question was, are there any upcoming events or projects at your school that you're looking forward to? That's just a question that I wanted to ask, just to see like the things that the school does, and if the instructors, which were the interviewers, like for me, the people who interviewed me were professors at that school, and I just wanted to see if they were really into their school, and you know, if they had anything to say about these projects that they had coming up. Okay, so the next question was, what does a typical day in clinical look like, and what are some tips you have for being successful in clinicals? So, you know, it's good to see that you're interested in clinicals, and just to find out what it's all about. It's kind of cool, because like when I asked them that question, they talked for a good amount of time. And I feel like if you get them to talk for a good amount of time, then you're doing a good job at your interview. Okay, so the next question is, what do you love most about this institution? I just wanted them to tell me like things that they fell in love with the school that I should probably fall in love with too. So, you know, it was just interesting to hear what they had to say about how much they enjoyed the school and the program and just the atmosphere of it all. Okay, so Next question is, what opportunities are available for students to get involved in research? Okay, so I feel like this question, it just showed that, I was already thinking about things that didn't just have to do with the schoolwork that we were going to be given. Like, I was already thinking, like, this girl is already wanting to do, like, some type of research, and she hasn't even gotten into the program. Also, I just want to say, y'all can use all of these questions. This is my gift to y'all. Use them, tweak them, do whatever y'all want with them. Okay, so the next question is, what are some ways you get to know your students? I really like this question because, a lot of teachers, especially in college, you're in a big classroom. So, very rare that the teacher will, like, get to know every single one of their students. And, I just want to know how they interact with their students and what the students thought about the interactions that they have. Because I don't want an instructor that just doesn't get to know me, that just gives me work, and doesn't know anything about me as a student. Okay, so this last question, I feel like y'all should ask this question. Like, just incorporate it into the end of your interview somehow. Which is, what is one thing that nobody knows coming into nursing school that they should know? So I actually got this question when I was doing my YouTube research on questions to ask at the end of the interview. And some girl said that she asked this question and she actually got a really good response from the interviewers. And when I asked them that question, I got like a really great response. Like, they just talked for a long time. So yeah, definitely use that question. So this video, I hope it was helpful to y'all. And I hope y'all can take these questions and just practice. And definitely, I would say record yourself. Because that's a thing that I did. I just recorded myself. I asked myself questions. And I just saw things that I would do that just looked awkward. For example, just playing with my hair and answering questions. Like, that's something that I saw that I needed to change. So I changed it. Also, smile. Try to smile. I know it's hard, especially because y'all guys are nervous already. But, make yourself look friendly and just smile. Have a good time. Y'all guys are going to do great. Y'all going to get into this program. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. So, adios. Mwah.